to prevent bad things from happening. It has not used our influence to do what's necessary to protect our interests.
Let me talk a couple of minutes about politics and the big story this week about Eric Cantor losing majority leader of the House in his primary fight in Virginia. What does that tell you about what is convulsing within the Republican Party right now? How do you explain it?
Well, there are different voices and different candidates and different effectiveness and different campaigns that, of course, affect the outcome of various races. I know it's our inclination to look at races and suggest that somehow a national movement is causing what occurs. But, you know, if that were the case, you'd have to look at Lindsey Graham's race. Lindsey Graham beat, what I think, 5 or 6 Tea Party candidates. He got more votes than all of them combined. He won by 100,000 votes. In Virginia, Eric Cantor lost by, what, 5,000, 10,000 votes? I look at this and say this has a lot to do with the effectiveness of relative campaigns, but also major issues. People are upset about what's happening with the failure of the president to carry out our immigration laws. They're seeing what's happening at the border, and I think that probably figured into the
within the party,
race
Governor.
as well.
Is the Tea Party populism driving the Republican Party, what it believes, what it stands for, and will that continue through 2016?
Well, it certainly didn't drive what happened in South Carolina, where in a very conservative state, Lindsey Graham won in a landslide. So you're seeing different voices in different parts of the country, and I actually think it's healthy for us to have a debate on important issues. You're seeing that right now. I think our party is becoming stronger. We got a lot of great candidates running for Senate. My own view is we're going to pick back the Senate in the fall of this year.
About Hillary Clinton, whom you've mentioned twice in the context of your belief that she's part of a failed foreign policy of this administration. Her rollout this week with a new book, some comments that have generated controversy. If you were running for president again, and if she were the Democratic nominee, what's the playbook to beat her?
Well, the playbook, I believe, is to look at her record. Look, I think you have to consider what's happened around the world during the years that she was Secretary of State, and you have to say it's been a monumental bust. And then her most recent comments as she was rolling out the book, she was asked whether the Bergdahl trade was one that presented a threat to the United States. And she came back with a clueless answer. She was clueless. She said, look, these commandos don't represent a threat to the United States. Well, of course they do. And then she went on to say they only represent a threat to Afghanistan and Pakistan. Are you kidding? I mean, we're in Afghanistan. And we're in Afghanistan in part to protect America's security. I think her clueless comments about the Bergdahl exchange, as well as her record as the Secretary of State, are really going to be the foundation of how a Republican candidate is able to take back the White House.
Will you be a candidate in 2016 if you were drafted? If the conditions were right, would you consider another run?
Hey, David, I'm not running for president. I said that so many times. As you know, we just had this conference here in Park City, Utah. I brought a number of the 2016 contenders here to meet with my fundraisers. Had I been running, I wouldn't be doing that. Look, I want to find the best candidate for us to take our message to the American people that we can bring better jobs, higher incomes, and more security globally. We can do that, and I'm convinced that the field of Republican candidates that I'm seeing is a lot better position to do that than I am, so I'm not running.
So 100% Mitt Romney will not, even if drafted, will not be a candidate in 2016.
I'm not running, and talk of a draft is kind of silly.
All right, Governor Romney, thank you as always for your time. I appreciate it.